Rusty, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome to the Christian Rock 20. And of course, it's going to be fun to get to know more about you and about the band Rusty Shipp. And, you know, I'm just excited to be able to have you on and talk about something as unique as your band.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, thanks for having me, Paul. It's an honor to be here, and I've always heard about your show, so it's just pretty cool that I get the opportunity to be on finally. It's great.
Oh, opening with flattery. I love it. What most people may or may not know about you guys is first off, y'all are an indie band. You're not on a label. You're not going to be, getting a major push to record stores or anything like that. You guys are doing it in a lot of ways DIY, but at the same time, you're getting a lot of attention from critics within kind of the Christian rock realm, which is a lot of fun. But the thing that I first knew about you guys is a friend of mine introduced me to your music and was like, "Hey, you got to check out this band." They're like, a nautically themed rock band. And I just went, okay. I was like, well, that could be really cool or terrible. And luckily it was the former and not the latter. So how does one start or come to start a nautically themed Christian rock band?
Yeah, good question. Well, we got together and we're like, okay, what are we going to call this band? We pitched different ideas, but I mean, my name is Rusty Shipp.
Right.
So people were like, how can we have any other name than Rusty Shipp? That's just like a good band name. And then when people learn that it's actually the name of the lead singer, they're like, wait, what? So it's just like a connecting point that you just like, why in the world would we not use that to our advantage?
Right.
And so we got this band, Rusty Shipp. It's like, well, what's it going to sound like? Well, why don't we try to make it sound like a rusty ship? So that's kind of what we did. And, you know, our music is supposed to sound kind of rusty, so it's got some like grungy, raw rock elements.
Right.
But then it's also kind of like a ship. It's like got a nautical overtone. It's got some surf rock undertones. Some of the songs sound like they're kind of underwater with a lot of reverb and stuff like that. So it just kind of made an interesting combination of different sounds. And man, we're based in Nashville. There's so many rock bands here, and I mean, they're just rock bands. Like I hear them and I'm like, I can't remember anything about that band or what they sound like. But nautical rock and roll band, people are like, wait, what? And that's what I want. I want us to be the band that sticks out in somebody's head when they see 5 bands in a concert. They're like, I can't remember anything about that show except for that one nautical rock and roll band.
This may be me, and this probably is, because I find out that most things are just me. But when I first heard it, I was like, okay, they're called Rusty Shipp. They're a nautical rock band. Somehow I just had this weird notion that almost every song would have kind of like this, you know, almost like a piratey pan flute solo in it somewhere.
Okay,
and maybe
like kind of just sea shanties.
Yeah, I was thinking sea shanty-ish, which is fun to say, especially if you're having seashells by the seashore. But so I'm thinking in terms of that. I'm thinking like, do they wear like Navy like uniforms or bibs or something on stage? Like, how far does this go?
We're working on that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Sure, why not? So with that being said, I mean, you guys have a sea or ocean or nautically themed name, even if it is named after you, it kind of comes off that way, obviously, which is not accidental. And then, of course, you guys have a sound to it. How far does the nautical theme go?
Well, it's funny because with the releases that we've done, it's been getting progressively more and more nautical.
Okay.
And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Like our album Mortal Ghost that came out, that was very much nautical throughout from beginning to end. But then it has like some breaks from that. Like there are some standard rock songs. Like we do a cover of Helter Skelter by the Beatles. There's nothing nautical about that. But I think that people really latch on to the whole nautical rock and roll thing. It's just a lot of fun for everybody. Everybody loves it. And it's different and unique. So I think the next release that we do is going to be all out, full on nautical, which is pretty cool. I'm thinking that we're going to probably go the concept album route.
Okay. And
just like actually like, it's just kind of like the next step from the album that we just came out with.
Sure.
But you know, like you said, like, yeah, we're not wearing the pirate outfits and just singing sea shanties with the flutes and whatnot at our shows. Although I definitely want to incorporate some of that, but it's not. We're not trying to be a gimmick band,
right? Yeah.
Like there are some things that are kind of gimmicky, but in my mind, it's more artistic, or we're like trying to create an ambience or an atmosphere that's kind of underwater. So that to me is more artistic as opposed to gimmicky.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're trying to go for.
Yeah.
Really making music that's more artistic.
Sure. You're going for some nuance as opposed to banging people over the head with a peg leg and an eye patch.
Yeah. I mean, we're not some cover band that's going to play at birthday parties or whatever.
Although I would love for you to play at my birthday party.
I would love to, especially now that I know you're so close to where I'm at. I'll just stop by and play your birthday party.
There you go.
Any birthday you want.
All
it was
right.
actually my birthday yesterday, believe it or not.
That's right. Happy birthday, my friend. How old are you?
Well, thank you. I am 32.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're still young. You got some time.
I still got some time.
Oh, man. And plus, I mean, that's one heck of a thing to have checked off your bucket list. You've started a critically acclaimed nautical Christian rock band. I mean, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Now, through all of this, and this is kind of a sideline question, but with you being in the band that has this nuance to it, how much experience do you have being on like a boat or actual nautical things?
Wow, good question. I'm about to expose myself because sadly, I actually do not have too much experience. Now, I will say that my grandfather was actually a naval commander.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And that's the grandfather that actually does not have the last name Shipp, believe it or not. So the Shipp grandfather, he wasn't the naval commander, but the other one, Schultz, he was. So there actually is a Navy influence in my family, for sure. But besides that, it's just kind of like, I mean, I go to the beach every year, and I swim in the water, and I write some songs while I'm swimming in the water, but that's kind of the extent of actual experience in nautical things.
Oh, okay. I think that's all well and good, but I think probably what comes down to is the true test of this is, what are your feelings towards the Pirates of the Caribbean movies?
Oh, well, yeah. I have to admit that there's actually a Pirates of the Caribbean influence in several songs.
Aha!
Yeah, busted.
Nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Now, how into it because I know that by, watching what happens on social media around you guys, that you do have fans. I mean, there are people, posting pictures of themselves with your record and getting into it and writing positive reviews, which I'm assuming you're totally unsolicited to your Facebook and all that good stuff, which is awesome. It's great to have fans that are invested. Do fans ever show up in some sort of nautically themed outfit just because, or is that a step too far at this point?
Up to now, that may have happened once, but I don't think anything more than that.
Okay.
If anything, it's people just show up in the Rusty Shipp t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Somebody did get a Rusty Shipp tattoo last month.
Nice.
Which was a first, which was pretty cool. So, I mean, that's kind of the extent of it. It's this lady, she's got her Rusty Shipp tattoo that she sports at the shows.
Nice. Well, that's cool. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I always wondered how I would feel about that if I were in a band and they either got the band's logo or a lyric or something tattooed on them. I always felt like I would have mixed feelings about that in a weird sort of way. I mean, it seems added pressure somehow, but at the same time, really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of pressure, like you said. I mean, the fact that I, in some way, influenced somebody to make me part of their skin for the rest of their life, it's kind of like, dang, I can't really completely process that.
Right, especially if they don't have it right beside like a Tweety bird or a butterfly. I mean, they've really put thought into it. That's always a positive thing too.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm a little grateful that her tattoo, it doesn't actually say Rusty Shipp. It's just the image. So I feel better about that, like, because it's also my name beyond the band name. So I feel kind of weird having my name on somebody's body for their whole life.
Yeah, that could be a little bit awkward.
I think most people could relate to that.
Yes,
reaction.
I mean, I know I don't have any fans that are like that, and if they did, I think I would have a conversation with them and be like, you do know this isn't cool, right? I mean, this is just really weird. I think I might even have that same conversation with my wife. Be like, this is kind of weird. I don't know if this is cool.
That's funny.
So we've talked about so much fun stuff, but now let's get down to kind of brass tacks. You guys have a single. We've played it once on the show. We're going to play it again during the show today. It's called Tip of My Tongue. Talk about that song.
Man, I love that song. I'm very proud of it. I love the way it turned out. And that song, actually, it took me a long time to write it because the song is about these kind of mysterious, euphoric experiences that a person will experience as they go throughout their life, where it's, like you smell a scent you haven't smelled in a while, something nostalgic kind of overtakes you and kind of are overwhelmed, or like people that have encounters with the divine. It's kind of like it just kind of overwhelms your body, and it's almost like you lose consciousness. But like in my life, when I have these things, these really powerful experiences, it's always a mystery. I'm like, wow, what is this? Is this God? Is this just, I don't know, like I'll listen to a song and I'll have that overwhelming emotional experience, and then it just kind of disappears. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know what to do with that. And so I wrote a song about it, just kind of going through that process of when something like that just randomly hits you and you're just overpowered to tears sometimes by an overpowering emotion. And the song is just kind of exploring that, like, what is going on? And so for me, that whole subject matter is something that's just very powerful and personal to me, and I consider it very sacred. So when I was constructing a song about this concept, I was like, this has got to be a really special song. Like, this has to be the best of the best. Like, all the things that I've come up with musically, this has to be the pinnacle of everything I've ever done musically. So I have this arsenal of all these different little music fragments that I've written through the years.
Okay.
And I basically I went through that arsenal and I picked out what I considered to be the best chord progressions and vocal melodies, guitar riffs, and I took all those things and put them together into this one ultimate song, which for me is like the pinnacle of my songwriting. So that's kind of what the song is. Tip of My Tongue is what came out of that, and I think it's an amazing, beautiful, beautiful song.
Nice, very cool, very cool. And then the other song that we're going to be playing during this show is SS Neurotic. Is that what we're calling?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Talk about that song too.
Yeah. Well. We released a music video for that last week.
Nice.
And it's pretty cool because the music video was illustrated by the same guy that illustrated our album cover, named Heinz Zaman, here in Nashville. And so it's pretty cool because this video it's a illustrated, animated music video, but it kind of has the same feel and same characters as on our album cover. So it's kind of like the guy brought our album cover to life.
Wow.
And then tells the story around the album cover and brings it out like that. Pretty cool. And then we released it last Monday because it was February 19th. And February 19th, 1893 is when the ship, the SS Neurotic, it sunk. It went missing. And this is a real ship in history.
Right.
And no one knows what happened to the ship, except they found messages in bottles that washed up on shore a few months after. And the messages were written from people on the ship as it was sinking. And so it's these really kind of ghastly, morbid messages that were written, the last hour of these people's lives. And it starts out saying like 3:10 a.m., 19th of February, 1893, SS Neurotic is going down. And so I found these messages in bottles on the internet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to make a song about this. So I took those messages and then turned them into the lyrics of this song. And it kind of details, the philosophical and theological angst that was present for these poor souls that were, their final hour on the ship that was sinking. So that's kind of what the song is about. And it's cool because the musical side of it, I'm like, okay, I want to write this song about this sunken ship. Like the band's called Rusty Shipp. This is like the definitive Rusty Shipp song because it's about a rusty ship. So what I did is I went on to YouTube and searched for sunken ship videos.
Right.
And I turned on all the lights in my room and was just focusing on these sunken ship images and coming up with these like raw, grungy guitar riffs while I was like focused on the whole atmosphere and the sunken ships underwater. And so the music that came out of that writing session is what became this SS Neurotic song. So pretty cool, pretty interesting how that all came about.
No kidding. No kidding. And back to the video. I mean, when you guys had the album cover commissioned, was the video already in mind at that point, or did that just kind of happen later?
It just happened later.
Wow.
And I mean, it kind of works because, you know, the band's called Rusty Shipp. So the guy, he did a sunken ship on the cover. And then we're doing SS Neurotic, which it happens to be about a sunken ship.
Right.
So the two weren't related in the beginning, but it just kind of worked out nicely how they fit.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So one of the other main reasons, other than just the fact that you guys have a single and you're in the wheelhouse of this show and all that good stuff, that you guys are being a guest now, is because here very recently, the Jesus Freak Hideout Fan Awards, or the JFH Awards, I think they're called now, just released all their nominations, and you guys were featured very prominently in like 5 different categories?
Yep, that's right. So, I mean, we were Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, Alternative Album of the Year, Independent Album of the Year, and then Album Artwork.
Wow, that's insane. Now, I know that you guys probably were aware of Jesus Freak Hideout, and you guys have some connection to Scott, who is part of kind of what they do over there. But of course, the nominations came out of their entire staff saying, hey, this is what we think is the best. Now we put it to you guys. What do y'all like the best out of these things that we deem like the best stuff that has come out over the past year? Did you guys anticipate that?
You know, honestly, I had not heard about these awards before, so I didn't realize that this was even coming up. So, pretty surprising and exciting.
Nice.
But the thing that happened at the end of 2017 is Jesus Freak Hideout, they compiled, you know, their list for the top 10 albums of the year.
Right.
2017, I think they've got 17 staff writers or something like that. Each staff writer had their choice of 10 albums of the year. And our album, Mortal Ghost, made it onto, I think, 8 of their lists.
Wow.
Which was crazy.
Yeah,
especially for an indie band with no record label, like you said, not a mainstream band by any means, just doing this on our own. And so that was crazy to end up on so many people's lists. And then when they did the average of all the lists combined, in the top 10, our album made it to number 2.
Nice.
On the list of all albums in Christian music that came out in 2017. That is just insane.
It's quite a compliment.
Oh my gosh. I mean, for an indie band, I mean, we were on the same list as top 10 albums of the year of 2017, with Third Day, Mercy Me, John Mark McMillan. And that's crazy. Huge name artists, as big as you can get. And they ranked our album higher than those guys.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, I know that this is a touchy question to ask, but who was the one album that beat you guys out?
It was Crooked by Propaganda.
Interesting. Well, I got to admit, that is an album that gets a lot of fan love. I have never been a gigantic fan of his. There are some songs of his that I really like, and I totally get that he's a massively talented guy.
Yeah.
But that's
I
cool.
To that, I was like, okay, who is this guy that beat us out?
Right.
I listened to the album. I was like, dang, this is a pretty solid album. I got to admit.
Right.
It's great. It's awesome. I mean, I think it was a really fair choice, fair winner.
Well, hey, it's good to be able to not only feel that way about it, but also to be able to come to terms with things like that. Because sometimes being second is harder than being fourth. But
well,
I mean, that's cool.
Right. But we were an indie band. I didn't even expect to be on the top 10 list, period.
Right.
Much less number 2. I mean, that was just insane. And you know what? They told me at Jesus Freak Hideout that has never happened before.
Wow.
In all the years that they've had the top 10 list, there's only ever been one other band that made that list as an indie band, but they made it as number 6 album of the year. So
interesting.
It's we're the second one to do it, and we made the number 2 spot it's completely unprecedented, blew everybody away, total shock to everybody.
Wow.
And I'm just so blessed and humbled by it. I can't even believe it.
Nice. Well, other than the opportunity to be on my little rinky-dink show, has there been anything else that has come up because of kind of this recognition? Because I know a lot of people do follow Jesus Freak Hideout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tons of people follow him. It's pretty cool because we've been getting just messages from random people, and it's people in like Netherlands and all over the world, and just random people putting in orders for our merch on our website.
Nice.
So stuff like that. And we did a podcast a few weeks ago for the Decent Christian Talk podcast.
Right. Yeah.
And, that's another podcast. I got some major artists on that. So just little things like that have come about because of the Jesus Freak Hideout success. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Cool. So you had mentioned that there was, the next album will probably be a concept record. At what stage is that at this point?
I think right now, I personally am not ready to plunge right into another album yet.
Sure.
Especially because I don't want to release music unless it's completely intentional and ambitious. Mm-hmm. And I definitely don't want to release music that's going to be a step down from Mortal Ghost.
Right.
And now with all this success, it's like, dang, like there's a lot of pressure now to like come up with something that's as good or better than this, and better than the number 2 album of the year for Jesus Freak Hideout. It's a lot of pressure. So I'm like, okay, before we get into like the full-on concept album, I think we're probably just gonna. Next step is release some one-off singles, that kind of thing, and then I think we'll probably release an EP by the end of the year. Oh, okay. That's still kind of in the works, but it's going to be kind of more low key. Sure. And then next year, the plan hopefully we'll release a full-on concept album.
Okay.
That will surpass Mortal Ghost. That's the goal.
Nice. So now,
we got our work cut out for us.
For sure, man. What does touring look like for you guys? I'm guessing that you guys aren't going out just doing a full run anywhere, but playing shows. I know you guys do some in Nashville, but other than that, what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, we actually, as of right now, we've got some shows booked later this year, and we're doing a tour with Ravenhill, actually.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, I know you know Josh from Ravenhill.
Yeah.
So it's cool because, Ravenhill is a Nashville rock band like us. Both of our bands, we got started at Rocketown in Nashville.
Yeah.
That's both of our roots. So it's kind of cool. We both come from the same roots. So yeah, so we're going to be hooking up with them to do some touring in summertime.
Okay. Nice. Very cool. Well, dude, I think that all that's great. I'm excited for you guys, and I know that all this attention can be some added pressure, but at the same time, it's nice to be able to get some recognition for doing your craft well. And not everybody, of course, gets a chance to get those kinds of accolades, whether their art is good or not. So I'm happy that has worked out, and I hope that leads to even more opportunities for you, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
Very cool. Now, one question that we always like to end with, especially with new guests, because I think it reveals a different side of people who get interviewed on the show than might happen otherwise, is, you got the name Rusty Shipp. You're in a band called Rusty Shipp. You're getting all this accolades for being, a very good and proficient rock band, even with or without a nautical theme. It's stacking up well. But as a lead singer of this band with a rock and roll name, what is the most un-rock and roll thing about you?
The most un-rock and roll thing? I don't know. There's so many un-rock and roll things. For one, I have a part-time job as a janitor at a church.
Okay.
That's like about as un-rock and roll as it gets. Besides that, I don't necessarily like going out at night.
Okay.
And I'd rather get up early in the morning.
Now that is pretty unrock and roll, I got to say. That might be more unrock and roll than the janitor thing.
Well, yeah, maybe so. So like people are like, "Oh man, come out to the show," and I'm just like, I don't feel like it. But
right.
Part of that is I'm also a really extreme introvert.
Okay.
And it is really hard to get me out of my house. Like I love being behind closed doors, and for me, like songwriting is just where I blossom, like being an artist. And honestly, it's hard for me to really be creative and do that kind of stuff outdoors and with other people. It's like I can only do that like behind closed doors with no one around. So I think that could be kind of rock and roll though. But because of that, it's like, I don't know, I don't really flourish late at night out on the town around people, whatever. I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of guy.
Fair enough. And I feel you, man. I feel you. It's weird. When I first started going to camp, and like in my early teens, I was the weird guy who got up an hour before the trumpet came around and blew in everybody's faces to wake them up, just because I was like, I want to get up, I want to brush my teeth without having to fight for the sink, and then I just want to walk around for a while when nobody else is up and just kind of have a moment to myself. And,
Man, I love that. Yeah. I'm right there with you. And like me, like if I can wake up early and just have some time to myself, just drink some coffee, maybe read, pray, meditate for a little bit, just even let my mind wander, think about the day.
Sure.
Man, I love that. And that just makes my soul surge having times like that.
For sure, man. And despite the fact that may not be stereotypically rock and roll, I'm glad for both of those things for you, because when you're in a rock band, it's good to have a day job, because rock and roll ain't what it used to be. And, you gotta pay the rent somehow. And, doing what you got to do is just part of the gig nowadays for everybody except for Aerosmith.
Totally.
Rock on, man. And dude, thank you so much for taking time. I know that this is kind of a different thing, but I'm glad that you're getting a chance to get some exposure for you and the band, and I hope it leads to great things for you, man.
Yeah, man. I was really excited to be part of this today, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. And I hope some people hear this and check out the album, Mortal Ghost. I hope that they like it, and I hope they check out the new music video, SS Neurotic.
Sweet deal, man.